Illegal appointment. That's what the trustees I talked to are calling this. They say the news took them by surprise, and now they're talking to legal counsel to figure out their next steps.
The township residents are paying for her funds.
All right, let's dive into one of the wildest political dramas we've seen in recent years. It's like something straight out of a reality show, but trust us, it's all happening right here in a small village just outside of Chicago. We're talking about Tiffany Henyard, the so-called super mayor of Dolton, Illinois, a mayor who's making more headlines for her controversial spending, clashes with trustees, and outlandish public behavior than for any actual governance. And let us tell you, the story only gets more bizarre the deeper we go.
I think you should pay everybody. Is it a reason why you guys are not paying whatever that vendor is?
What was it for?
It was for shirts. That's what it's for. You got it.
Picture this. A quiet suburban town suddenly thrust into the spotlight because of one woman's larger-than-life attitude. Tiffany Henyard, elected as the mayor of Dolton in 2021, has repeatedly made waves for her bold declarations, lavish spending, and insistence that she is untouchable. She's even coined herself the super mayor, and that title alone gives you a little glimpse into her mindset. But as we're about to see, being super doesn't always mean being effective, and it sure doesn't mean everyone's going to be on your side. Now, let's rewind to one particularly chaotic board meeting. This meeting was supposed to be all about passing the village's budget, but as soon as Tiffany walked into the room, it was clear this wasn't going to be your average municipal gathering. You've got to understand, Tiffany Henyard is the kind of leader who, let's just say, isn't shy about making her demands known. She came into this meeting fully expecting the trustees to fall in line and pass the budget without any further delay. But her confidence would quickly be put to the test.
We needed those officers to be on the street fighting crime, and instead we have several officers that are riding around protecting the mayor.
As she took her seat, Tiffany wasted no time in laying down the law. According to her, everything had already been done. The budget was ready, the residents had supposedly been given enough time to review it, and now it was time to move forward. We need a budget in place because half of the stuff you did not want to pass or approve. Because it wasn't a budget, she declared, clearly frustrated as she addressed the trustees. To her, the only thing standing between her and a functioning village was the stubbornness of the board. But as she would soon find out, the trustees had other ideas. Trustee Brown was the first to speak up, asking why there hadn't been a proper finance committee meeting before approving the budget. You could practically feel the tension in the room rise as Brown's question hung in the air. This wasn't just a simple inquiry, it was a direct challenge to Tiffany's leadership. Brown wasn't about to let this budget get pushed through without proper oversight, and the other trustees seemed to agree. Tiffany, however, wasn't having it. She quickly shot back, dismissing the need for any more delays. We did everything correct as related to letting the public know about a budget meeting, a budget hearing, and now I'm pretty sure that everyone's okay with passing the budget, she said, her voice tinged with impatience.
Coming in, unfortunately, we knew it was going to be a little messy, but it's just something we felt important that had to be done, that should be done. But like I said, you have just some accountability.
But if Tiffany thought her assertiveness would silence the room, she was sorely mistaken. Trustee House, visibly confused, chimed in to echo Brown's concerns. He wasn't convinced that everything had been done by the book, and he certainly wasn't ready to approve a budget without more discussion. And then there was Trustee Belcher, whose expression said it all. She sat there, arms crossed, clearly not buying a word of what Tiffany was selling. You could almost see the wheels turning in her head as she listened to the mayor's rapid-fire speech, her face a mix of disbelief and defiance. Here's where things really start to get interesting. Tiffany, sensing that the trustees weren't going to roll over as easily as she'd hoped, doubled down on her position. She insisted that the budget was balanced, and that there was even a surplus, something that should have been music to the trustees' ears. But instead of celebrating, the trustees seemed even more skeptical. And when Tiffany claimed that they had 5 more days to iron out any kinks in the budget, it only deepened the confusion. Because, let's be real, how does it make sense to pass a budget now, and then spend the next 5 days figuring out if it's actually right?
One way that the government always does it is to go and investigate people around her, and that's what they're doing here.
And speaking of fights, let's not forget about the residents of Dolton, who were undoubtedly watching the spectacle unfold with bated breath. Many of them had already expressed concerns about the village's finances, and with good reason. Under Tiffany's leadership, the village's general fund balance had plummeted from over $5 million in 2022 to a deficit of $65 million by May 2024. That's a staggering drop, and it's no wonder the trustees were hesitant to approve the budget without more oversight. After all, how could they trust that Tiffany had everything under control when the village's finances were in such dire straits?
Hey guys, it's the Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard, the People's Mayor and People's Supervisor.
But Tiffany, ever the showwoman, wasn't about to let the trustees or the residents see her sweat. She pressed on, determined to get her way. even as the trustees continued to voice their objections. You guys asked me to do something. I executed it by getting the budget ready for everyone's review. Then secondly, we made sure we had communication by speaking to all the staff here as related to anything on the budget, she said, as if that settled the matter. But the trustees weren't convinced, and neither were the residents.
Is there a motion to terminate Keith Freeman?
One of the most interesting dynamics in this whole saga is the way Tiffany invokes her identity to deflect criticism. In another tense meeting, when her spending habits were called into question, she didn't miss a beat. "You all should be ashamed of yourselves because you all are black. You all are black," she exclaimed, turning the conversation into a racial issue. Whether this was a genuine plea or a calculated move to deflect attention from her controversial actions is up for debate, but it certainly didn't sit well with everyone. Trustee Norwood, for instance, wasn't having it. "How about you be a good leader and bring proposals to the forefront so not just us, but residents and everyone else in America know how the money is being spent," she fired back, refusing to let Tiffany off the hook. And let's talk about that spending for a minute, because it's one of the most jaw-dropping aspects of this whole story. We're not just talking about a few questionable purchases here and there, this is next-level extravagance. According to reports, Tiffany has spent thousands of taxpayer dollars on luxury travel, first-class flights, and high-end meals. We're talking about stays at the Four Seasons in Atlanta, where she and her advisors racked up over $9,000 in charges, and a $40,000 hotel bill in New York City. And what about that $43,000 Amazon purchase in January 2023? That's right, $33,000 on Amazon in a single day. It's the kind of spending that would make any taxpayer's blood boil, and it's no wonder that the trustees have been pushing back so hard on her budget.
Were you?
It's not paid by them.
Did you fly first class to Las Vegas?
Any other questions?
But here's the thing, Tiffany doesn't seem to think there's anything wrong with her spending. In fact, she's been quick to defend it, claiming that everything she does is for the benefit of the people. "Everything we do is for the people," she said at one meeting, brushing off the criticism as nothing more than media scrutiny. In her mind, all of those first-class flights, luxury hotels, and fine dining experiences are part of her job as mayor. But the trustees and the residents aren't so sure.
No reason for anyone from a township to go to a mayor's conference. A mayor's conference is a mayor's conference for mayors.
And then there's the issue of her security detail. Tiffany has been known to travel with an entourage of 6 village police officers, a move that's raised more than a few eyebrows. Some have even accused her of using the police as her personal bodyguards, a claim that's backed up by reports from the trustees. We're not saying police aren't doing a good job. We're saying you're assigning all of them to be with you when they should be out here protecting the residents so we can all feel safe, Trustee Norwood said at one meeting. It's a valid point. How can the village afford to have so many officers assigned to protect the mayor when crime is on the rise and resources are stretched thin?
I am about to address some things as the supervisor. There will be no comments, there won't be anything, it'll just be me addressing you guys and telling you what's going on.
Of course, Tiffany's actions haven't gone unnoticed by the authorities. In fact, the FBI has launched an investigation into her spending habits, and it's not hard to see why. Between the lavish trips, the questionable credit card charges, and the unpaid bills to vendors, there's no shortage of red flags. And let's not forget the fact that Tiffany is also facing multiple lawsuits from the trustees, who allege that she has forged checks and withheld financial records. It's a mess, to say the least, and it's only getting messier by the day.
Deep debt, and that is the finding of an investigation of village finances and the spending habits of beleaguered Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
But here's the real kicker. Despite all of this chaos, Tiffany has announced that she's running for re-election. That's right, she's not going anywhere. In fact, she's doubling down on her claim that everything she does is for the people of Dolton. They know the truth. "And I am committed and determined to continue fighting for my village for the next 4 years," she said in a statement. It's a bold move, to say the least, and one that's sure to keep the drama going for a long time to come. And speaking of drama, the fan reactions to this whole fiasco have been absolutely wild. One viewer commented, "Tiffany's like a filibuster. She just talks on and on and on and fast and fast and fast, and everybody gets tired. It's a spot on observation. Tiffany certainly has a way of wearing people down with her rapid-fire speeches." Another fan chimed in with, "As related to fast-track corruption as relates to prison," which honestly might not be too far off if the FBI investigation leads to anything serious. The viewers are clearly picking up on the absurdity of it all, and they're not holding back in their criticism.
Several new developments in South Suburban Dolton today. First, the state comptroller has suspended some payments to the village because it has failed to follow the law by providing financial reports.
So, what do you think? Will Tiffany manage to hold on to her title and power, or are her days as Dolton's mayor numbered? And what about those outrageous expenses? Do you think she'll ever be held accountable for them? Let us know in the comments, because this is one story that's far from over. Until next time.